Alright, it's Rhino. Today we're going to talk about what is the most difficult thing in the English language to pronounce. Okay, so here's the sitch. One, it entirely depends on your native language for which sound in English would be the most difficult to pronounce. So there really isn't an exact answer. I'm going to give you examples, don't worry. But basically, if I were to set out and see a very long word like anti-disestablishmentarianism, it's not a difficult word to say because the individual parts of it are actually quite easy and you just need to practice saying it once or twice. Versus when we go to the UK and we see a very long city name that is in Welsh, well, if you don't speak Welsh, then it's going to be very difficult to say that regardless. Let's start with R. R is a really difficult letter to pronounce in English. And if you're like, Bert, did you just say litter? Yes, it's because my accent is 30% Kiwi. But anyway, R. For the Irish, you might tap or trill your R. So if I were from Ireland, then I'd have a little bit of tap while I'm going when I say the or. Yes. Like 3, you kind of roll the, not quite roll, it's a tap, it's a trill. They do this trill in Spanish, like perro and perro, you have a trill, or in Estonian, tara, you have the tap or trill in the R. It happens, it exists, it's very exciting. But that makes it incredibly difficult to say a word like irreversible. It's a double R sound. Irreversible. Irreversible. Now, there's plenty of videos out there on the internet how other languages like Korean, Japanese, Chinese have R and L, but they are different than English R and L sounds as well, which is why it makes it very difficult for those speakers to pronounce those letters the same way, but also the reverse. But let me give you an example. It is easier to say fill, fall, fell than it is to say fall. For some reason, this O into the L sound is quite challenging. Our vowels tend to be really difficult, especially for my Italian and Spanish friends, because they have fewer vowel sounds. English has almost 21 vowel sounds. So something like is a great word. But when my friend said, I'm angry, well, he meant hungry. I'll get to H in a second. But he also doesn't really do this he does an and it's all very bright and kind of at the top of your mouth instead of this so that makes it very difficult. But speaking of H or H, we notice very quickly in English if you can't say H, and it's something that you have to do and practice. If you're like, no, it doesn't matter because I am from Paris and I do what I want because I love French people, but Paris is exempt from that statement. Kidding. Hi, Paris. But when you have this H sound and you do not say it, you're actually saying completely different words. For example, ope and hope. Ope sounds like, well, nothing actually. It could sound like open. Or op, which is operation. We're not really sure what you're trying to say, but you haven't said hope. Same with saying angry instead of hungry, or hungry instead of hungry. It's, yeah, H is very important. TH, the are also quite difficult. And hearing the difference between words like faith and face. One of my French teachers said that was always a challenge for her to hear the difference between. But I would say there's a few English words that we don't always agree on the pronunciation. And I don't mean like aluminium or aluminum. I mean more like synecdoche or tourist, or what's another crazy English word? I'm gonna think. Oh, I had this great one. It was pertinacious, which is related to tenacious. So I know how to say tenacious, but pertinacious is a word that I had never seen. Or the word erudite, or eschew. Yeah, awesome. Well, if you have more words that you'd like to put in the description, or let me know what is difficult for you to say, and hopefully I can help you out. Ciao!